This is CTV. Don't blink.
In the news tonight, no turning back. Sudan former president to face trial on war crimes. Kabaka to receive immediate medical care in Germany. Also, on the eve of the World Youth Day, we highlight nation building in the eyes of the youth. And in sports, Museveni pays tribute to the Olympians. Hello and welcome to the program. It is a pleasure having you join us here tonight. Welcome to PM Edition. I am Bernadette Apio with Isaac Luchamazi on Sign Language. We start with news coming in from Sudan. Former President Omar al-Bashir will be handed over to the International Criminal Court. This follows a cabinet decision to hand over all the officials implicated in the Darfur conflict. This was announced by the Foreign Minister Miriam al-Mahdi. Bashir ruled Sudan for 3 decades until 2019, when popular protest forced him out of power. The ICC issued a warrant for his arrest in 2009, but he enjoyed immunity as a president and was protected by key allies, including Uganda. The 77-year-old faces charges of genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity in Darfur. Human rights groups have long accused Bashir and his former aides of using a scorched earth policy, raping, killing, looting, and burning villages. The decision to hand him has been prompted by the visit by ICC Chief Prosecutor Karim Khan, and it comes just a week after Sudan agreed to join the Rome Statute. We do move on. Have you wondered what a champion's ride looks or feels like? Well, it is the experience 3 Ugandan Olympians now know about. The president rewarded each of the 3 medalists at the just concluded Olympic Games in Tokyo with a brand new car.
Following their stellar performance at the recently concluded 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games, members of Uganda Olympic team, led by double medal winner Joshua Cheptegei, made their way to Kololo Independence Grounds, exuding pride like a dog, with 2 tails to meet the President of Uganda, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Their motorcade had earlier on snaked through the streets of Kampala, with athletes standing out of the sunroof to show off their medals and to wave to their happy supporters. At Kololo Independence Grounds, the athletes, led by gold and silver medal winner Joshua Cheptegei, gold medal winner Pelth Chemtai, and bronze medal winner Jacob Kiplimo, met government officials led by the President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the First Lady, who also doubles as the Minister of Education and Sports, the State Minister of Sports Samson Obua, among others.
Just rise up and bow. In the Japanese way, arigato.
In his speech, President Yoweri Museveni commended the team for their performance despite financial challenges and small budget.
Kenya spends 450 billion shillings on sports. I even remember the figures he was quoting. South Africa spends 264 billion. Uganda will spend only 18 billion. This is a miracle to see the one who doesn't spend any money winning medals.
The Inspector General of Police, Martin Okoth Ochola, also promised to fast-track the promotion of athletes Joshua Cheptegei and Perth Chemtai, who are both police officers, for making history. The athletes were later on rewarded for their efforts with brand new vehicles for their standout performance at the Olympic Games. This is the first time Uganda has managed to excel at this level at the Olympic Games, winning 2 gold medals at the same games. Ramson Muhire, Sohail Mugabe, PM Edition.
A big congratulations to the trio. Now, as the world celebrates International Youth Day on Thursday, we highlight a youth that have excelled in building self-initiatives. The day is celebrated to inform meaningful participation of young people.
Bossa Isaac, in his many lessons from practical classes at school, stumbled on an idea that would later redefine his life.
I got the idea of making liquid soap after the closure of schools, when the president announced that schools should be closed with immediate effect. So I came up with an idea of starting up the liquid soap business.
As schools went under lock, the 17-year-old had more time to invest in the business. For his wide imagination to succeed, he needed the family support.
I invested in 100,000. That was my beginning. But while I continued producing my products, I started earning a day 50,000, 60,000.
Family also provides space for his business, a makeshift structure at the Yabuziga home. He is selective on materials. With that, he is able to produce 5 jelly cans a day and distributes 3 to the customers.
A day I make 5 jerry cans. Then I make some bottles. I make also some 5-liter jerry cans.
The business has earned him financial independence.
I have achieved money for pocket money, because by then I was not getting that money from my parents. They were only giving me school fees. Then the school requirements were few. So I decided to start up my business for liquid soap.
Liquid soap is, however, just a stopgap.
I want to be a civil engineer, and I'm in senior 3. I'm still learning.
As youth shine a light on their day tomorrow, Bossa delights in his craft. This year's celebration is themed on Youth Innovations for Transformational Food Systems and Sustainable Human Health. Ramla Katumba, CTV PM Edition.
Still a word on the Youth Day, we bring you an innovator, Nelson Waswa, who uses technology to conserve the environment, yet struggling to thrive in the Ugandan environment. Nelson avoided the temptation to run for greener pastures to build and expand in Uganda. Eve Masawi talks technology with him.
Uganda as a country has one of the youngest populations in the world, with over 70% of its people under the age of 40. Being one of the youngest countries in the world, many of the young people come face to face with several challenges, such as unemployment, drug abuse, and teenage pregnancy. However, one young man is trying to reshape the narrative. Nelson Waswa is one of the few youth who has refused to follow the stereotype that technology can only thrive in developed countries. Waswa is an environment technology conservationist who is very passionate about innovation, and since 2013 he has been working on the project that he feels will change the world.
Every morning I used to walk from Rubaga to Makerere University, and I could not stand the massive pollution of the Nachivo Channel. I was intrigued to come up with an idea called Water for Life.
Waswa was inspired to develop his app called Launa by the increasing number of young people in the country. His aim is to try and merge technology with not only the plants, but living species and water for the sake of saving man and the planet. He explains how Launa app works.
So Launa as a mobile application is an open source technology tool that's aimed at detecting and monitoring macro pollutants like plastics, polythene, masks on the shores of freshwater bodies using real-time drone and smartphone imagery.
According to Waswa, the magnitude and the impact of pollutants on the water shores is quite worrying, and on several occasions they have received reports of dying fish because of reducing oxygen levels in the aqua systems. The youth under the Sodzo Foundation are now researching and releasing such information using the app for the general public to know.
We can be in position to go into a dialogue with policymakers, other stakeholders like industrialists, the academicians, the concerned agencies and institutions of government, and we can find more pathways with more environmental models that we might have developed.
As an innovator, working in a low-income country like Uganda is a challenge for him and others alike.
What if I wasn't funded with enough money? Would I be in position to solve this? I think no. You realize that you have to be in position to come up with an idea, but also look for your own funding.
He also says that for the stars of young people to shine bright, the Ugandan government should learn to embrace technology, artificial intelligence, and data. On the 12th of August, Uganda will be joining the rest of the world to commemorate the International Youth Day under the theme Transforming Food Systems, Youth Innovation for Human and Planetary Health. The theme for this, as stated, in the line with the hopes and aspiration of young people like Nelson Waswa, who are trying their best to lead by example in their age brackets. Eve Masawi, CTV, PM Edition.
Tomorrow is the International Youth Day, and to discuss the preparation of the International Youth Day further, I am now joined by the Assistant Commissioner for Youth Children in the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Mr. Mondo Chateka. A very good evening to you, sir.
Good evening to you, Apio.
Yes,
how are you?
I'm fine. So I will get right into my first question. Why is it so important to commemorate Youth Day, and what plans do you have in this new term for the youth?
The importance of celebrating International Youth Day emanates from a resolution of the UN General Assembly, Resolution 54-120 of 1999, that dedicated 12th August of every year as a year on which we commemorate International Youth Day as a day of celebrating the numerical strengths of the young people, the potential of the young people, but also trying to audit ourselves, trying to reflect, trying to re-strategize on what we can do to make the lives of the young people better. So the importance lies in the fact that we are reflecting on what we have done. We are also auditing ourselves and trying to see what's that we have done, what's that we have not done, and what's that the young people have done, what's that they have not done, but also the young people telling government their aspirations in terms of moving forward in the empowerment ladder. So that's the importance of International Youth Day, which is a UN dedicated day.
Mr. Monde, you've mentioned you've mentioned a few important issues there. You have said you need to celebrate this, to appreciate what the youth have done, to also, what we can say is to evaluate yourselves as the ministry. There have been a few complaints from the youth in the past few weeks. Some of them are complaining that they have not been receiving the funds that are meant to help them grow in some of the projects, help to accelerate them.
That's not wholly true. I'll tell you, for instance, I'll give one example of one of the programs that is targeting the youth. That's the Youth Livelihood Program. I'll tell you that as I speak now, we have sunk 169.5 billion Uganda shillings, accessed by over 200,000 young people for purposes of investing and paying back. And I want to say that the recovery rate has been good at over 60%. It's also true that out of the 169 money that we have sunk into the young people, the money due for paying back, which is slightly lower than 169 billion, the young people have paid back 18 billion. But appeal, the point you could be making is that the money is not adequate. Uganda is one of the countries with the fastest growing population in the entire world. So talking about the young people between 18 and 30, for whom the day is dedicated tomorrow, they are 23% of the population of Uganda. That's a whopping over 9 million Ugandans. So the amount of money we get is not adequate for every young person who needs the money to get the money. But also it is true that there are some young people who simply try to access the money and they don't try well enough to get the money. Once they are asked just a few questions, they say, you see, there are a number of legalities here and there, and that's how we realize that some of them are not really serious. Those who are serious, they go the entire length to ensure that they get the money.
One final question for you. Is your ministry concerned about political apathy, or which could have...
Therefore,
we do apologize that we seem to have lost him there. PM Edition takes a very short break. We'll be right back. You're still watching PM Edition. I am Bernadette Appiah with Isaac Luchamuzi on sign language. We do move on. The Buganda Monarch is in Germany. The issue is health. The Katikiro confirmed Kabaka Ronald Muwenda Mutebi II traveled to access medical experts as a result of allergies. The Kabaka will also save time for Kabaka Foundation.
In April this year, the Kabaka of Buganda, Ronald Mwenda Mutebi II, made a public appearance during his 66th birthday celebrations. The Kabaka, who had taken some time away from the spotlight, looked sick, frail and weak, sparking off a debate about his health condition on social media. That very month, the Katikiro of Buganda, Charles Peter Maiga, came out to clear the air by confirming that indeed the Kabaka had made the public appearance ill and that he was suffering from an allergic reaction. Today, while speaking to journalists at the Buganda Kingdom headquarters in Bulange Mengo, the Katikiro of Buganda, Charles Peter Maiga, revealed that the Kabaka 2 days ago traveled out of the country to Germany to seek medical assistance.
Now that he is in Europe, in Germany, we thought it would be a good opportunity for him to meet experts, health experts. You remember in April I told you that the Kabaka is afflicted with allergies. And those afflictions can be quite serious, actually. If you consulted your medical experts, your doctor, they will tell you that an allergy isn't about an itching on the skin as some people think. It can be much worse than that.
Pictures of the Kabaka in Germany meeting a number of people have also been making rounds on social media, and today the Katikiro of Buganda also confirmed that he will be meeting with co-sponsors of Kabaka Foundation over the same issue.
This time round, we hope one of the reasons that Kabaka will be able to meet key partners of the Kabaka Foundation, because in the last about 5 years, the Kabaka Foundation has carried out extensive programs, including running a hospital in Bukalango.
Earlier this week, the Kabaka met with President Yoweri Museveni at the State House in Entebbe, where they discussed matters of mutual interest. During the meeting, the Kabaka of Buganda appeared to be in somewhat weak condition. The file was compiled by Adams Mayambala and Suhail Mugabi for PM Edition.
Now, Cabinet has approved the merging of government ministries and agencies. The sitting also okayed new judicial proposals. The measures are aligned towards improving government efficiency. Simon Chris Makanga filed this report.
The State Minister for Information Technology and National Guidance, Godfrey Baluku Kime Kabyanga, pronounced some of the agencies integrated. On the 22nd February this year, in the new proposals to improve efficiency and deal with wasteful expenditure, Cabinet supported plans to merge its ministries, commissions, authorities and agencies. It was estimated it will save over 900 billion shillings. 60 entities were to be affected out of the 157 reviewed.
So the Rural Electrification Agency will go with all its staff to the Ministry of Energy and fit there. So that's why we have not given the funding to any other department. They will go with their budget, but under Ministry of Energy.
Also to be adopted, the new recruitment structure in the judiciary, positioned to reinforce the numbers.
Currently, we have 11 justices approved in our structure for the Supreme Court. The structure which has been approved will have 21 justices, including the Chief Justice in that court. The Court of Appeal, the structure we have apparently, it has 15 justices, including the Deputy Chief Justice, who is the head of that court. The approved structure will now have 56 justices of the Court of Appeal.
The proposal is in response to a backlog of cases. In a gradual process to last 5 years, the judiciary will decentralize regional courts of appeal at all regions, commencing with Gulu and Imbara, whose construction is underway.
One, we just hope that with this structure, we shall be able to decentralize the Court of Appeal, which has only been based in Kampala. We shall have regional Court of Appeals. And I am happy to inform you that at the moment, construction has already started in Guru and Mbarara for the Court of Appeal to be decentralized.
Simon Chris Makanga, CTV PM Edition.
Ugandans have responded massively to the mass COVID-19 vaccination 5-day exercise at Nambole National Stadium that commenced today. Details in this report.
Rashida Nagawa is a student in her senior 6 vacation. She's among the many who have turned up at the Mandela National Stadium in Nambole to get her first COVID-19 jab. The young woman decided to turn up here after hearing the president's advice. She's now aware that dodging the vaccination puts her life at a risk and that of her mother, who she managed to also persuade.
And the reason why I came for the first dose is that I wanted to be safe in everything. Like, it helps keep the immunity and sort of that. In fact, I'm the one who advised my mom that we should go for it. Yes. She did.
Pius Oketh Wengu, the hospital administrator in charge of Nambole COVID-19 Treatment Center, says the exercise has picked on very well and that by 7 a.m. in the morning, people were already at the venue, each waiting for their turn. He also believes that in just 5 days, a total of 10,000 people will have been vaccinated.
With the response that we are seeing, we are estimating that actually we should be able to even exceed that. And the beauty is the vaccines are there, and we should be able to give the services to the people.
The huge demand for COVID-19 vaccines is being attributed to increasing numbers of deaths, and people get sensitized about the importance of embracing the vaccination. The National Medical Store rolled out vaccines to different parts of the country on Monday, and on Tuesday, people in the Central Business District, especially in Kampala, started receiving their COVID-19 jab. Shamim Natewa, CTV PM Edition.
Thank you, Shamim, for that report. Talking business and recovery, government has earmarked 100 billion shillings to boost small and medium business enterprises which have been affected by the deadly pandemic and the lockdown. The fund will be channeled through the Private Sector Foundation, Uganda.
The pandemic and ensuing lockdown left businesses tumbling. The Investment Minister, Evelyn Anite, says 2 million small and medium enterprises have been affected. On that background, government set aside a stimulus package to a tune of 100 billion Ugandan shillings.
For every money that you get, then you have a match-up. So we will have a match-up of, again, another 100 billion, making a total of 200 billion that we will then lend out at a very low interest rates and very long tenure to support small enterprises as such.
Speaking during the opening up of a coffee center in Tinda, the State Minister for Investment, Evelyn Anite, says the stimulus will be delivered through Private Sector Foundation Uganda.
And through Uganda Investment Authority, we'll avail land for such investors, and then we give them tax incentives to support them. We exempt them to get plant and machinery, and which will then make them to have the capacity to produce in large scale.
The acting executive director for PSFU, Francis Kisirinya, says the process of delivery is yielding.
Actually supporting small businesses through a linkages program which we run as PSFU. It is called the Lead Farm Structure Program. It is supported by the MasterCard Foundation Uganda. Now this program brings together farmers, small enterprises and big enterprises like the one we have seen here at Coffee City. Now we support the people at the farm, we support people who are at the intermediate level, the processors, and we support people who are marketing, like we have seen here.
Kisirinya is optimistic the stimulus will restart many struggling businesses.
So we invest money to make sure that everybody grows. The farmer grows, the roaster, the middle person grows, but also the marketeer or the value adder grows. So this system does two things very importantly: grow everybody who is participating, but also create jobs. So we are making investments that create jobs.
The money is part of the government's pledge. The Minister of Finance said it has released more than 1 trillion Ugandan shillings in total as a stimulus package to Uganda Development Bank. However, the bank declined the receipt of the money. Safi Mwakile Baloko and Chris Semalimo Semakula, CTV, PM Edition.
You're still watching PM Edition. We take a look now at stories making headlines across the region. Kenya and Somalia are walking a peaceful march now, while Burundi is battling to save her people from being washed away. In Ethiopia, the president is making a rallying call against rebels.
And Uhuru Kenyatta on Tuesday held talks with visiting Somali President Minister Mohamed Roble. The two leaders have agreed to reset the Kenyan-Somali relations after months of strained ties. Kenyatta said there is need to collaborate more in areas such as security, trade, and investments by fully implementing the 2015 Joint Commission for Cooperation in order to prosper. The bilateral relations between the two neighboring countries have been strained for several months after Mogadishu accused Nairobi of violating its sovereignty and interfering in the country's political affairs. Kenyatta further called for an amicable resolution of the maritime border dispute. He emphasized the importance of stability in national and regional development. Somali president, on the other hand, said the two countries will look for opportunities that lead to lasting stability and peaceful coexistence based on mutual respect and genuine cooperation. Parts of Burundi are in ruins as a result of floods that have destroyed property and displaced people in the past 2 years. The floods, due to rising water levels on Lake Tanganyika and heavy rainfall, have engulfed farmlands, roads, markets, school playgrounds, and churches. About 52,000 people have been affected by floods since March 2021, according to United Nations International Organization for Migration. The tracker has identified over 127,000 internally displaced persons in over 28,000 households. The UN body says deforestation linked to effects of heavy rain on the world's second deepest lake has affected Tanzania, Zambia, and the DR Congo, which share about 600 kilometers of the water body. The Ethiopian government has officially called on civilians to join the Ethiopian National Defense Force and its allied regional forces and militias in the fight against Tigrayan rebels. The Ethiopian government said in a statement issued by the Office of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, a direction has been set for the Ethiopian National Army, regional special forces, and militias to take strong military actions to destroy the treachery internal and foreign powers, the statement reads. However, some Ethiopian officials have been accusing Western powers of double standards over the Tigray conflict. In June, Addis Ababa officially accused the international community of responding with dead silence to belligerence by the Tigray People's Liberation Front. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa is due to appear in court before the country's long-running corruption inquiry. It was set up to investigate allegations that his predecessor, Jacob Zuma, during his term in office, allowed the wealthy Gupta family to plunder state resources and to influence policy and cabinet appointments. Both Zuma and the Guptas deny any wrongdoing. The corruption is estimated to have cost South Africa $81 billion in public funds and lost opportunities. Mr. Ramaphosa was a deputy leader of the governing African National Congress Party at the time. He has been called to answer questions on what the party knew, if anything, about the alleged misconduct and if they did anything to try to stop it.
Away from Africa, in Melbourne, no relief yet over the pandemic, while the Taliban are combing more territory. Details in our international wrap.
Melbourne will remain under stay-at-home orders for at least another week of lockdown in a bid to stamp out an outbreak of COVID-19. Authorities in Sudan say they were considering easing restrictions for vaccinated residents, despite the Delta variant continuing to spread. Daniel Andrews, the Premier of the state of Victoria, said lockdown rules will be extended until at least 19th August, after 20 new cases were detected overnight, including several mystery cases. Andrews told reporters in Melbourne, referring to an outbreak in Australia's most popular city that has spread to thousands despite Sydney being in week 7 of its own lockdown. The Sydney lockdown, which has grown to include several areas north of the city, will also be expanded to include Dubo, a small city about 400 kilometers northwest of Sydney. The Taliban have seized 2 more Afghan cities, including one just 200 kilometers from Kabul, as tens of thousands of people fled their homes in the north for relative safety of the capital and other centers. The Taliban are now in the city and have raised their flag in the main square and on governor's office building. The Taliban confirmed their seizure in separate tweets. 6 of the other provincial capitals to have fallen since Friday are in the country's north, with the insurgents setting their sights on Mazar-e-Sharif, the region's biggest city. Its fall would signal the total collapse of government control in the traditionally anti-Taliban north. Government forces are also battling the hardline Islamists in Kandahar and Helmand, the South Pashto-speaking provinces from where the Taliban draw their strength. Envoys from hosts Qatar, Britain, China, Pakistan, Uzbekistan, the United Nations, and European Union are also due to discuss the situation in Afghanistan.
PM Edition takes a very short break. We'll be right back.
As we embark on a journey to realize our full potential, we all need expanded minds and limitless possibilities. We need to be accurately informed. CTV is your growth partner. With reliable, in-depth news, we tell the story from all perspectives. We bring you the story in real time. Catch our comprehensive daily bulletins in Juba Egolorye at 7 p.m. and PM edition at 9 p.m. CTV, don't blink.
Welcome back to PM Edition. Time now for PM Sports. Uganda Cup Big Four teams continue to come up and challenge FUFA on the days set for the continuation of this tournament. Bull FC and Vipers want more time to prepare.
Bull FC requested the Federation of Uganda Football Association to grant clubs permission to use new players in the upcoming Stanbic Uganda Cup semi-finals. The tournament was given a green light last week by FUFA where draws were drawn. However, teams like Viper Sports Club and Bull FC, 2 of the 4 clubs that reached the last 4, claim that continuation is not realistic. Vipers says that they cannot assemble a decent squad in time for the semi-finals. While Bull FC CEO Kongola Ahmed says they want FUFA to allow them to use players that have been acquired in the current transfer window.
If you say that we are going to use the players we had previously, and yet we've lost like 15 players to other clubs, you may find that we are going to play a team when we don't have even a substitute, even we can't even make a team. You may find some of these players they have COVID and all that. So for us, we are saying, let it be open because the 4 teams that are remaining in the league, they have the players.
FUFA spokesperson Hussein Ahmed says that FUFA is working on ways of making the tournament favorable for all parties amidst the FUFA calendar.
Football is for internal and external stakeholders. All the clubs are part of the internal stakeholders. So it's a requirement for FUFA, the main body that runs football in the country, to listen to any concerns that have been raised by both the internal and external stakeholders.
With only 32 teams participating, the Uganda Cup is being played on a home and away basis up to the final, which will be played at a neutral venue. The semi-final draws pitted Bull FC against Express FC, while Vipers Sports Club will tussle it out with Police FC. Maina Mbalira for PM Edition.
On Friday, the 13th of this month, Premier League's newest entrants from the Championship, Brentford FC, will host Arsenal FC in the Premier League opener. As days draw closer to the world's most popular football league, CTV digs into the build-up of the 20 clubs ready to battle.
On Friday the 13th of this month, Premier League's newest entrants from the Championship, Brentford FC, will host Arsenal in the opening game of the English Premier League. As days draw closer to the long-awaited start of the world's most popular football league, CTV digs into the build-up of the 20 clubs ready to battle for the trophy. In a bid to compete, several clubs have signed new talents to boost their hopes of winning the trophy and make a mark in the English Premier League. Some players have been signed at undisclosed fee. These include Adam Armstrong from Blackburn to Southampton, Kaworu Mitoma from Japanese Kawasaki Frontale to Brighton, Yohan Wissa from Laurier to Brentford, Josh Sargent from Werder Bremen to Norwich, Juraj Kuka from Italy's Parma FC to Watford, and Christian Romero from Atalanta to Tottenham Hotspurs. Some players like Axel Tuazembe from Manchester United to Aston Villa and Armando Broja from Chelsea to Southampton have made loan moves to help fellow Premier League teams compete and also gain more playing time. As usual, Manchester City broke the bank and signed Jack Grealish from Aston Villa for a record £100 million. Other big price signings include Arsenal's Ben White from Brighton and Hove for £50 million, Jadon Sancho from Borussia Dortmund to Manchester United for £100 million. Other signings include Danny Ings from Southampton to Aston Villa for £25 million and also Leon Bailey from Bayer Leverkusen to Aston Villa for £25 million.
We have come to the end of PM Edition. Thank you so much for keeping us company tonight. I am Bernadette Apio with Isaac Luchamozi on sign language. Do make a date with us tomorrow. But for now, don't blink.
This is CTV. Don't blink.